So, I'm here at Oddment Audio, and you did the Groc.
That's right.
And what is it? It's yellow.
Yes, it's yellow.
Who doesn't like yellow?
It's beautiful. It's got a great form factor and design, but it's a granular synthesizer. Its two best features are the granular parameters, which are on this middle row, and the modulation capability.
Mm-hmm.
So it's got a great new granular engine, but then also envelopes, LFOs, a number of different effects, and they're all very easily connectable, kind of like patch cables. So I'm going to show off just a little bit of the sound capability first by showing some presets. So it's a touch screen, and I can tap the patch name and choose different ones. So
as usual, maybe for the people who doesn't know this, it doesn't make any music itself. You need to do some samples, and then you throw some fairy dust on it.
Yes, you start from sound samples.
Yeah.
So, but that's really not different than, say, like a wavetable synthesizer, right? It's starting from an oscillator shape. This is just starting from a bigger piece of sound, but we can go all the way down. So, like, I'll give you one example. Is like this preset is almost basically like a wavetable synthesizer.
Yeah.
But because it's granular, and I'm actually pulling that from a very long sound, if I use the pitch bend, I've mapped that to the playback speed.
Oh, yeah.
So it's showing you that you can get wavetable synthesis, but out of a much longer piece of audio. So if I now start increasing the size of the grains, you actually hear the speech. So just to give an example, but to get a sense of the diversity, it's a touch screen. I can tap the screen and choose different presets. So here's one, kind of a classic granular pad. And here's more of a, electronic synth sound. But this is pulled from a violin, so we get a really different sound.
Okay. Yeah, I was about to ask, do you have some recommendations what you can throw at it? What sounds good in the end?
I have my own tastes, and I love working with things like that violin sound, or we have some really nice pedal steel samples, like a pedal steel guitar. So here's that example. Getting a little bit of audio crunchiness. I'm sorry about that. I'll have you cut that bit. But so yeah, this is from a pedal steel.
Yeah, it sounds beautiful.
Yeah, wherever you start. And then, to speak about the modulation and grain parameters, like one example here is you can see that the grains are not quite as tall as that one. That's because there's a bandpass filter involved, and I'm representing the bandwidth with the height. And I have it set up so that if I push this upward, the mod wheel, it's going to start randomizing the center frequency of the grains. So each grain now has its own bandpass filter and is giving you a different part of the frequency spectrum. And you also see the grains are moving, they're kind of yellow or red. That's a function of the placement. So we have kind of a left-right placement, and you can also do something like scatter, which would really spread it out. So now it's really diffused across the stereo field. So the placement, filter, and the fidelity, there's like a bit crusher. You get it kind of crunchy sounding. Those are some of the things that are a little unique. And then also, we have 8 main parameters controllable on the switch. And then each one has an auxiliary by depressing the button. So there's actually like 16 main parameters and then even more available on the screen. And then when you want to modulate something, you do it very easily. So let me go. On the left side, we have some effects. So I have a low-pass filter cutoff that I'm controlling right here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that sounds really good.
And so I'm going to connect that to a spare envelope number 2. I'm going to depress the cutoff frequency. It's become a modulation destination. And I can either press or twist this knob. And the screen shows us that I have envelopes number 2. We're also getting the visual feedback on the LEDs that were connected there. And so now this filter is going to move according to this envelope. Push it down. So you can modulate any parameter on the device that is sensible to. There are a few mode switches you can't modulate, but anything like, say we want to do something really wild, like change the pitch as a vibrato, hold it down, connected it to the LFO.
So it does pitch shifting. Does it also do time stretching?
Yeah, definitely. The two kind of most primary parameters on a granular synth offer those two capabilities. So if I go back to just a default patch, this is a starting point where it's just going to play back the sample naturally.
Oh,
so our first two controls here you see are called speed and tuning. So if I change the speed, it's going to slow it down, not change the pitch. If I change the tuning, it's going to change the pitch and not change the speed.
Okay, nice.
So those are totally independent of one another. And then, obviously the pitch is also being controlled chromatically along the keyboard.
Yeah.
So this pitch acts a little bit like, can be used in a couple of different ways. To do something like like vibratos or pitch bend, but it also can help you if you're not starting with a sample that's a C. You might want to tune up with other instruments. So you could be, playing a note and maybe that's an A, and you need to repitch it a little bit in some manner to align with the piano or something like that. So there'll be several ways for you to specify kind of the pitch content, either by tuning it manually or saying this is an A. So yeah, you control speed, playback speed, and pitch independently. And then, many of the other parameters in the grain engine may look familiar, like, grain sizes. Often you'll see density. We've called that overlap because on the left, on Groc, it gives you a real choppy sound.
Yeah, because most people just use it for pads. But you have something with different notes, you can come up with new ideas for melodies. Like if you just change the density.
And also, I love the lower overlap for cases. Like you're just getting like tremolo effects like this,
Yeah.
And then now I have a grain shape, and you can make that like a hard-edged grain or more of a bell shape. If I click this down, I'm going to change that to be sort of, sharp in the front.
Oh yeah.
And then of course that's modulatable. So now we can see that shape is going to be moving. So, I love some of the rhythmic stuff, and this is a really subtle detail. If you're a really big granular fan, you might know. You can think about the grain size as a function of the sound source or the output. So to make it more rhythmic, you can set the grains to be locking the output length together. So now, no matter the note I play, the grain length is the same.
Can you sync this to an external clock?
Not yet, but yes. So we have, we have planned to have full kind of MIDI capability. So you have MIDI clock sync, and I'm planning to add soon. Here's like a page where we have multiple layers. It's very, very bare bones right at the moment. I've been just touching layer number 1 and playing with that patch, but you could go to layer number 2 or more. On this screen would be places, this would be where I add like a beats per minute. Maybe we have some notion of like a key. And this would be where you'd have some more connectivity features to set up, like if you want to clock sync to a DAW or your computer. So yeah, there's a little more to go in terms of filling out that level of connectivity.
And it's going to be ready in January.
Early next year. January is the target date, yes.
And it's going to cost $7.99?
$7.95 direct shipping, plus shipping and taxes in the U.S.
Yeah.
We will try to either ship internationally or work with distributors and retailers internationally.
Yeah.
I think a fair estimate for a cost in Europe might be like around €1,000. It will be due to the shipping costs or working with another party. It will be a little bit more.
And one last question. What made you move to Michigan? You were in California before. Didn't you like the weather or what?
You may be surprised, but I missed aspects of the weather in Michigan. So it's a complex thing. But I missed the seasons, and we were living with a lot of fire risk where we were in California.
Oh,
That created
really?
a lot of stress.
Okay.
And it's a wonderful place, but it's a land of kind of it's amazing or it's a real difficulty. So commuting and density. And moving to Michigan opened up opportunities like not working for big tech companies and making synthesizers. So
Yeah.
that was the main goal.
Okay, I was just curious. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.